Welcome to the BMC Catalog Manager for DB2 quick course on managing SQL. Here we see the 6 major functional areas of Catalog Manager: catalog reporting, utility JCL generation, DB2 and Catalog Manager commands, product logs, and the table editor. The focus of this course is managing SQL. Each of these functional areas is the topic of a current or future quick course. When we say SQL, we actually mean DML, DDL, and DCL. Catalog Manager allows the user to save, edit, and execute any SQL. Extended features include drop recovery and authorization extensions. Here we enter the select DML command next to a table in a table list. Update, insert, and delete are also supported. Hitting enter displays the DML in an edit session. PF3 to the SQL Common Confirmation panel. Let's break down the options available on this panel. First, we enter Y to edit options and hit enter. The options panel drives defaults for the Common Confirmation panel. Here we are selecting last used as default. Catalog Manager will remember your selections from your last session. Below are defaults for drop recovery and authorization extensions. Next, we choose to save our SQL into the Catalog Manager SQL table. Provide a name for your SQL and hit enter. More on the SQL table later. Hitting enter gives confirmation the SQL was saved into the Catalog Manager SQL table. SQL can also be saved into a PDS. Select Y to the PDS option and provide a PDS and member. Here we see confirmation that the SQL was saved into the PDS. Entering Y to the analysis option calls SQL Explorer to invoke the BMC Common Explain. Here we see the Common Explain panel. See the SQL Performance Quick Course on Common Explain for more information on this topic. For select statements, enter E or B to edit or browse the table referenced in the select statement. Hitting enter takes us to the table editor. Finally, we see Y next to the Execute SQL. Hitting enter executes the SQL and presents the result set. DDL can be presented for any object by using the DDL command. In this case, we are on a table list and we will see table DDL. Hitting enter displays the DDL in the Common Confirmation panel. Here's an example of DCL with the grant command on a table. Fill in the blanks and hit enter. Note the DCL and the Common Confirmation. In our previous look at the Common SQL Confirmation panel, we saved SQL to the Catalog Manager SQL table. Let's look at this feature in more detail. Navigate to the SQL tables by entering 7 or Q from the main menu, or by way of the SQL command from any command line. Here we see the SQL Table List. Note the owner, SQL name, and many columns of SQL text. Let's look at the subcommands available from the SQL Table List. Analyze is available for DML statements and calls SQL Explorer for the common explain. Cut copies the SQL to a clipboard. Paste new name pastes the content of the clipboard to the new name. An edit session is presented to modify the SQL. Here we see the new entry. SQL can be renamed with the rename command. Provide a space and the new name. The rename confirmation is displayed. Execute SQL on the list with the execute command. EX is unique enough for Catalog Manager to recognize. The result set is displayed. DML may be executed in batch with the 2WL command, short for go to a work list. Build and edit JCL. Here we see the JCL with DML as sysn. Many users have favorite spoofy queries. To execute these requires navigation to DB2i. Your favorite spoofy queries can be imported to the SQL tables with the import command. This will allow the user to run these queries without having to navigate to DB2i. Provide PDS, member mask, and optional name prefix and hit enter. Select the members to be imported to the SQL table. Confirmation panel shows members imported. Here we see the imported SQL prefixed with spoofy. The SQL tables can be a repository for any data, including JCL. Here we are editing imported utility JCL. Here we see the imported utility JCL. By default, SQL is saved under your primary auth ID. SQL may be shared by teams by setting your SQL ID to a common auth ID. The set command sets your SQL ID to another auth ID. This must be in your list of groups if you are not sysadmin. Here we are setting our auth ID to DBA group. The SQL command takes us to the SQL table. Note the owner is DBA Group. This allows group sharing of SQL and JCL. This concludes the Catalog Manager for DB2 quick course on managing SQL.